Hello, welcome to today's The Art of Feeling Better podcast. And I'm really excited. I'm just waiting to be joined by the beautiful Doutzen. I can't wait to introduce her and get her to share her story with you. So Doutzen's from Stantor. Um, Grew up she's a Dutch lady, she's a sociologist, grew up in the Netherlands and is now doing incredible work over in Africa. She's just amazing, and I can't wait for you to meet her. We're going to have a little chat about all things wellness, well-being, how we need to change the way we think about wellness, and some of the great pieces of work that she's doing as a coach, and an incredible story as well. So make sure you stay tuned and have a little watch what happens when we catch up. Okay, so welcome, Doutzen, to my podcast. The Art of Feeling Better. You can guess from the title what I'm trying to do with this. So
Hmm.
I'm wanting to have conversations with as many of my friends that I've met over the years as possible, especially those people who are doing great things with their communities, or have a story to share or have some wisdom to share. So I was really excited when I first met you because I knew I was going to do this. I thought, oh, wow, what a brilliant story, what a brilliant person, and how great it would be for us to catch up, especially with you being so far away, and we're doing very similar things, I feel, but in very different spaces. So I thought that would be great to kind of just chat and just find out more about you and the great work that you're doing. So, and this is just a chat. There's no, particular questions really until the end. I got a couple of questions at the end that I'd like to ask you, but just really an introduction to you and anything that you feel comfortable sharing about, who you are, what it is that you're doing, and why your role is so important to you, and why you're passionate about what you do. So take the floor. Feel free to share as much as you're happy to share about you.
Well, thanks, Jane. Thanks for having me. And yeah, please also jump in or cut me short when something goes in a direction that you're like, oh, I want to know something about it, or and
Oh,
take it away.
yeah, I will do.
So yeah, the art of feeling better. I love that. And if I take that as a bridge to introduce who I am, I think, the my journey of learning the art of feeling better really took a flight 9.5 years ago when I went on a big journey. But before I did that, I'm Doutzen from the Netherlands, but I'm speaking to you now from Kigali, Rwanda, beautiful place with many hills. Um, and I really, if you would have asked me then, I think I would have said I was happy, and I was. And I've always appreciated where I come from, how I grew up, the friends and family around me who are still in my life, even after almost 10 years away from home.
Wow.
So a lot to be grateful for. But I also, as we all develop these strategies to life to deal with things, I had quite a couple of those very stubborn ones.
I hear you.
And
I can relate.
uh, I have been, by how life so nicely can do that, been set up to be so good at kind of reading others or tuning into others' needs that I was at some point, I think, not even in the know anymore of what I actually liked, what I actually needed, what I was feeling. So I had once, what just comes to mind now, that I was at some point in somebody's hands, almost somebody who was working with me a bit and with my body. And she was like, every time I think to ask you something, you already do it.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's like as if you're so tuned to the outside, but now feel your feet. And I couldn't even feel my own feet.
Yeah.
So I was far removed from I think, the if the art of feeling better is about also being honest about what you're feeling
Yeah.
and starting there, then I had some work to do there.
Yeah.
And for me, a couple of things came together, like a long dream that I had to live abroad, to explore the world, to explore Africa. I'm from this, rural area in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is a tiny country to begin with. So I always had a bit of curiosity. And when at some point a long relationship ended, and I had the luxury to quit my job, I had a bit of savings, and I was like, now it's my time to go on this adventure. And it was the first time for me to, I grew up with four siblings. I know you have four kids, but I have
Yeah.
we were the five at home. And so I grew up with them, then into the student home, then immediately moved in with my ex-partner at that time. So we were together for 13 years and I had never been alone.
Wow.
So on this journey, I had to, I wanted to make my own decisions.
Yeah.
And and that was just very, very healthy.
You just felt
So,
called to go. That was your just you needed to spread your wings because I had a very similar experience that I've just been recording it actually, which is no coincidence. Very, very similar. Just feel the need to
yeah,
explore and go, wow.
yeah, it was something that I knew. I woke up one night with the knowing and the direction, like I have to, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going on a journey.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
There was no doubt. And it was a certainty. And so I started telling people about it, and they immediately believed me. And I didn't even prepare much other than, just practically making sure that I could leave. And
Yeah.
also, I wanted to do in such a way that there would not be some sort of reason that wasn't really from the heart to come back, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, not that I wouldn't want to come back, but at least I wanted my focus to be forward or to be outward and to be able to follow what I thought I should follow. And not that there was some reason like a house or some sort or some job or
Hi. Yeah.
something to, yeah, no excuse.
Yeah. That's great. That takes courage, real courage. But when you know, your soul tells you, doesn't it? It lights up and tells
Yeah.
you to go.
Yeah, so it didn't feel like I needed courage because it would have been harder to stay.
Yes.
Then I had a lot of beautiful moments of, I felt like almost, yeah, messages from the universe that I was on the right path.
Yeah.
But even though I was sitting in the plane, having my handful of cards and pictures of people that just at the airport had given to me, and I was reading that and sobbing. I was like, what have I done? I had been surprised with a surprise party, goodbye party, and so many lovely things that happened those last weeks. And now I was there up in the sky on my way to Asia. And I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But then upon transfer in Dubai, uh, upon boarding, they took my boarding pass and gave me a new one. And it was business class suddenly.
Wow.
And I really felt like I'd never flown business class before. I mean, I had not bought a ticket, but I don't know what happened still up until today, but it was as if it was like a bit of a universal message, like you're on the right path. It's really
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
And had many of those kind of little moments that I felt that little nudge or just a confirmation or a message from my late father who had died when I was young, much younger. Yeah, things like that that just made me feel like I was on the right path. And I guess that really started my art of feeling better. I have, I think, always had a bit of a light-hearted approach to life. I've never been really like seeing the negative, or I would forget it quite quickly.
Yeah.
Although also thinking that I'm finding out that has been like just suppressing things,
Mm.
partly. I'm a
Yeah.
good escape artist. I can really very well distract myself and go in a different direction,
Yeah.
or
I
focus
can,
on something
yeah.
that.
But that's part of it, isn't it? That's the resilience, and that's the. I mean, there's good and bad. It can be like obviously you're a coach now, so it's very similar line of work. The distraction of overwork and the toxic, too many distractions to stop you from listening to your soul. But at the same
Hmm,
time, being able to have that skill of being able to stay positive and pivot and move.
hmm,
It's a fine line, isn't it? So you've got to kind of work
yeah,
out good for me or is it not good for me, I guess. So
yeah,
it was obviously,
yeah.
yeah, I can relate so much, very, very similar approach to life,
Okay, yeah.
Mm,
And probably, I think I'm now at a moment where I'm much more able and equipped to look at that and to go into the the parts that need some unearthing, and just I feel much safer with feeling things, and
Yeah.
so that really helps to feel better and to be more, yeah, more real with myself. I think I've always been, or I'm not sure how to say it, but I feel like when I'm with people one on one, there's no judgment because I don't want to be judged. It's
Well,
almost that, and I just want. I think I have a big understanding for whatever you've done or you've gone through or where you come from or how you respond to people. It always comes from um, I mean, a good intention somewhere, and or a reason. And even if there's no reasons, we are human, and
it's
so
it's part of the
yeah.
experience, isn't it? And I think, do you think that, I want to talk about Stand Tall in a moment and your sort of journey to how that's sort of progressed for you. But do you think that that's, so for me, for coaching, and I'm sure you'll agree, but that's why I'm asking you the question, the whole empathy, compassion, and no judgment, it's just the crucial formula, isn't it? You just, if you can be
Mm,
in that space with someone where you're just bearing witness and you're just in that space with them, I feel like that's the key to be able to support somebody through a space in a healthy way. But that, not just what
yeah.
you saying, that really landed, no judgment, no matter what someone's experienced. It's a human experience, and feeling safe enough to explore that is definitely for me the key. The art, like you say, it's an art, it's a practice
Yeah.
of how to feel better. And that's, yeah, maybe that's why a lot of us have kind of been nudged towards this industry of trying to do our own
Mm,
shit, trying to work through our own
mm,
stuff to build the toolkit and to process stuff, and then to pass that wisdom and that toolkit on in the best way
yeah.
possible. So tell me about that sort of progression from when you made that move, and how you came to do the work you're doing today, and how Stand Tall came
Mm,
to.
yeah. I was already in coaching when I was still in the Netherlands, and I think I might have gotten did a little bit of a different order to things. I think, health and sickness, illness has always been a bit of a theme. Not always, but the first maybe 20 something years of my life was always a theme. I've been sick quite severely. It's a miracle I'm still here. When I was a baby, and the first 2 years, like the were I spent a lot of time in hospitals, and I think that already from that age set me up to kind of scan my environment. What do I need to do to not be abandoned? That was kind of, I think, my uh, that became like the primary thing for me to do. So for to watch others, look out for others, I just remember noticing when there wasn't congruency, when somebody said, "Yeah, I'm good," but I didn't feel it.
Do you know what, Alison? I don't want you to stop your flow, so but I have literally just been filming exactly the same as what you just said about my childhood. That feeling, isn't it
Really?
exactly the
Yeah,
same language of that congruence between the two? How interesting! How
yeah, okay. So
interesting.
I wouldn't have been able to phrase that then, but I felt, and then people felt safe with me, and I don't know, I that kind of was a natural direction after my time in doing a lot of personality assessments. So getting into the analysis of personality, and how do people approach their work, and getting to results, and then having that depth of understanding made me a bit frustrated that I couldn't help that development. So then I got trained as a coach. But my own story of I think healing really came later. So I think for many it's the other way around. But yeah, the stand tall, the health issue. So I'm very tall. You can't see that now, but I'm one of five, and I'm the shortest. But
One day we'll
I'm
meet in person, because I know you said that you're tall, but I only ever get to see this part of you. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're the
yeah,
short,
yeah, yeah.
you're not
One
the
day,
tallest. You're not the
Hmm?
tallest. You're not the tallest then of your siblings.
No, so in my family, I'm very comfortable. But when I was growing up and I was a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old girl being almost 1 meter 90, I think that's like 6'1",
Wow,
that was
that's
really not
small.
fun.
No, I
Yeah.
bet.
And at least I didn't think it was fun because I was one to kind of hide and adjust and adapt and from that place of safety.
Sure.
So plus the anything everything that was related to that kind of was part of an illness that was running in my family. So it was not a positive thing. It could have been, but it it is just, what label does it get? What
Absolutely.
are the things that are connected to it? And I think, yeah, if I look back, I wish I could have earlier kind of labeled it differently, or just taken off that weight of it. Like, but anyway, to stand tall is therefore a bit of a theme, and it's not the same as being tall. So when I ended up in Africa, I had a lovely journey, met one of your other guests on your podcast, Anthony Willoughby, on the way. Anyway, I landed in Kenya and worked there for 2 years, and I thought of my own coaching brand. And so this came to mind as a name, to stand tall, to remind myself to be, maybe it's not about not being shy or anything. It's more about being true to who you are and not dismiss or disown any part of yourself. And yeah, to what I also love about giraffes,
Oh, nice.
apart from their size,
Yeah.
is that they have the biggest heart of all land animals, and so it's a bit of a symbol for compassion. And what they're also very good at is what they're good at is that if there's no fresh green leaves anymore, they have a chemical in their saliva that even makes thorns and kind of dry thingies get nutritions out of it. So
Oh,
as that is a symbol for, whatever life throws at you, then there's some nutrition in it. There's something that you can gain from it to grow and to feed yourself. So
super
I
clever.
love
Super clever. Just tell me again what animal reference that was in case it broke up.
giraffe.
Giraffe. Beautiful. I've got some friends who absolutely love giraffes. And you know, some of the work that I'm starting to do now, based on my authentic path from childhood, is around the medicine wheel and is around animal
Mm.
medicine and plant medicine and all the different bits of wisdom. So there's a lot in that. There's a lot in the metaphor that we can learn from animals and how they behave and adapt. So I absolutely love that. I love it. Sorry,
Ah,
carry on. I won't interrupt again.
well, I want to ask you something if you know something, but we can maybe do that afterwards. I'm not sure if I should mention it here, but the dream arc from the Gene Keys. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, but no, I'm going to look at that.
Oh, I think you will absolutely love it. It's a combination of are you familiar with the work of the Gene Keys?
Yes, but I've not seen a
Okay.
gene.
All right. So maybe I don't know if it's a variation on it, but it's really based on personal journeys around wisdom keepers, ancient indigenous wisdom, animal wisdom, medicine people, and it's a beautiful program, I think, that you will really enjoy.
Might get you to
But
put
on a side note, the dream art from the
dream.
Gene Key.
Okay,
Really.
okay. I didn't. I think you might have
I'll
broken up.
look at the link and share it with you, and other
Sounds.
people are interested. You can post it, I guess. Link it
Yeah, for sure.
somewhere.
No, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's something that it sounds like something that I would already know about, but it's not. It's
Mhm.
not my radar.
I'm
So
not sure how known it is or how long it's been around. But yeah, I think you should. This one you have to
well,
look into.
do you know what? I am very good at listening to my soul, and when I speak to people, things light up and point me in a direction. So there's definitely some wisdom that I can get from this conversation. That will be another little direction for me to
Mm.
for sure. I absolutely love it. So, but I interrupted you to get back to the giraffe metaphor because I wasn't sure if you'd broken up. So just rewind me back to that point where you were looking at your coaching model and how you wanted to rebrand things. Now you're having this. I mean, I guess although it was a new start, you were bringing your old toolkit with you, and you were kind of you weren't completely rechanging everything. So did you just carry on working with business or with individuals? Did you totally
Mm.
rebrand? How did that work?
At that time, I was working with a small team. We were working with corporates mostly, businesses, family businesses in Kenya, and so my Stand Tall, my coaching business was for individuals outside of necessarily a business focus, a bit more with different kind of questions. And then when I left Kenya, moved to Rwanda, I continued that work for a little bit as a branch of that Kenyan company here in Rwanda. But then in the time of COVID, kind of everything, all my contracts ended. And it was a moment that I reflected and kind of put or a bit more life into Stand Tall and used my international and my old network. And that's when Anthony and I started collaborating much more again, and where we started using also his beautiful methodologies into coaching approach.
So
And
perfect, isn't it? It's so perfect. And there's things that I think we'll have more conversations, and maybe we'll jump on with Anthony. And there's a lot more I want to do with this podcast around the work that you guys are doing and how I can bring in my little bits, my mindset mojo, my framework, because it's so powerful, I think, isn't it? Your coaching and the framework is just something else. I'm so excited to see that progression and to be a part of the journey as well. So did you take everything? Obviously, you must have taken everything online at that point when
yes,
COVID
yeah,
hit.
yeah.
Was that a
Yeah.
challenge? How did you find that? Did you find it easier not being in the energy space so much? Because I know I found it easier sometimes to be that a little bit more distanced from the front line. But at the same time, you don't get that personal one-to-one when you're not able to be in a room with somebody. How was that for you?
I didn't really have any issues with that, to be honest. Sometimes when working with teams, because that kind of work also still continued or popped up still every now and then I found it more challenging when, people's connections weren't great, or people would hop off, come back on, or didn't hear things. But one-on-one work works quite well online. I feel indeed, sometimes maybe people are even more comfortable in their own space,
I
and you
agree.
can be really, really focused. So I've not had any issues with that. I like, and what I also like is that I'm working with people all over the world now from here, and that's perfect. Yeah.
Incredible. So what is the onward journey? Do you know what the onward journey is, or are you kind of just finding your way through it? Is there a big plan for the work with Anthony and with how's it going to look? What's your plan? What's the big passion forward?
Well, I feel like we're in a great momentum at the moment. So the direction that our work is going into, the people who are picking up on it, who are interested in it, who make beautiful use of it, like yourself, I feel like it's as if many things are coming together, and the direction seems to be much more personal growth, much more self-reflection, where we used to do a lot more focused on corporates and a bit more the business development, commercial, expanding the market kind of questions or strategy implementation. And now we still do that. It's also very fun to do that in a playful way and kind of break through the business jargon and have completely different kind of conversations with. And yeah, my time in Kenya with the Mas, I helped in that to learn from them and to hear them think about the future and strategy. And so all of that work became more playful and more interesting, more fun. But the whole path of the personal growth is one that I'm really enjoying, and I think we will continue on that path. If you ask me, like, what's your bigger plan? Where do you want to be by then and then? I'm not sure how to put any numbers or figures on that. I love to call it to be lost in the right direction.
Oh, I love
It's
that.
it's kind of it's kind of what feels good for me. Then there's still enough openness to play and explore and build and connect with people, and the direction is the right one, without having exactly points on the horizon. But I feel like there's different sides to what we do. So one is to take people into places like Mongolia, like Kenya, where those are such different places, and to be with people in a collective society who have strong communities, usually very strong values, who have a strong sense of identity often. They know who they are, they know what's important, they know how they can contribute to the collective. And it's a beautiful, those are beautiful areas to bring people to then reflect on what's important to them, who is our community, what makes us feel like we belong, what gives us clarity on our identity, what have been our hurdles and journeys and rivers to cross and mountains to climb. And it's just conducive for honesty and for self-reflection. So that, but obviously that's quite a special and thing to go on a journey like that. But we also do these and love to do these online. And so you mentioned a framework. We have a framework, we have a wheel. Well, it's all Anthony and a bit of my help in making it, given a bit of structure to it. But I think these metaphors, these ideas, and these stories enable conversations and they enable reflection. I don't feel like we figure out the perfect way to deliver it yet, but whoever is interested, we take them on a journey and they get something out of it.
That's
So
the beauty. I think you just hit the nail on the head for me around the art of feeling better, is that being lost in the right direction is perfect because it takes away the expectation and the judgment and the pressure and the expectation and all the stressful things that go with it. And it's just that lighting up your soul and that knowing that you mentioned before, that just encouraging people to explore their inner world, because their inner world will show them the right path, just like you've experienced and I've experienced. You just know when it's right. And I think people have come so far away from that they can't assess what their body tells them and they can't get that feeling. So they just wait to be told what to do. But if we can use these brilliant tools, and you know that I've been using territory mapping in all of my communities, and I can't wait to develop it further and in so many different ways, just through metaphor and story, like you say, a bit more playful, dealing with the really challenging, difficult topics in a little bit of a lighter way without trivializing. And it's just incredible. It's so powerful. I've not really experienced any tools that have given me that much power before this, really. So I'm really grateful to have come across this, I've been very soft touch over the past year or so in my delivery, because I know, because I've been working with yourself and Anthony, the framework is so complex and so deep in the background that I'm just testing the water to try and see how I can translate that to my community and my spaces. So we've just been doing very basic stuff, but I'm really excited to see how we can embed the deeper learning and the deeper framework in. And I hopefully will be traveling as well. So I'm determined next year to come with you. And I want to come to Africa and I want to come to Mongolia. I can't do anything this year, but next year it would be great.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
So is there anything in particular? I'm going to just ask you my final 3 questions in a minute that I'm asking everybody. But just before I do, is there anything in particular that you want to share about your work? I know you've mentioned territory mapping and is there anything that you want me to get out there to my audience around what you're doing at the moment? Or do you think we pretty much covered?
I think we covered enough of maybe what I do. What I would love to add is to invite people to all share, maybe get a bit looser with how things are supposed to be, or with how you think you're expected to do something. And if you can bring in a level of playfulness and a bit more lightness. And in that sense, I wish everyone an Anthony in their life, because he doesn't complain.
Everybody needs an Anthony, right? Everybody.
Yeah, he the whole "I will not complain" motto, it is he embodies it, but he is also always in a good mood, sees opportunity, and he makes you feel good about yourself. So I wish everyone to have somebody like that. So spend time with the people who make you feel inspired, who do things differently, who believe that things are possible, and play a little bit with it. I would say, if that is just about the way that we try to work, that I try to work, is really to cut through how, I mean, if people are like, yeah, but we can't or we shouldn't, then I'm like, okay,
Let's do
really?
that one. Yeah,
Like,
let's see how far we go with that. Yeah, I agree. I
maybe
mean,
that is a,
you pretty much answered the questions I think that I was going to ask,
ah,
but just going to give you the prompts in case anything else comes to mind. So the questions that I'm asking everybody, big question. So the big macro question, how do we change the world? What can we do to change? Because things are so awful everywhere. Even though we don't complain, we need to make changes. People are sick, people are exhausted.
yeah,
Education is absolutely screwed in this country in particular. The health service, it's not a great place right now to be, but it's shifting. We know it's shifting, we can feel it shifting. So how do we change the world? And you've kind of answered that a little bit around talking about the sort of reframing things and bringing a little bit of more playfulness in there. Is there anything in particular that you think that can be done to really make profound change in the world? Big
I
question.
think, oh yeah, it's a big question, and I don't know. There's not one answer. There's not a right answer. There's many angles to it. I think if we all learn a little bit more about self-awareness and about our own self-awareness, and if we move forward, all of us in, healing where we get reactive, healing where we get judgmental, healing where we get intolerant, all of these kind of things, then our hearts soften and our minds open, and we that is an energy or a vibration that will spread. So I think that is important work that we all have to do, and that is well, and I think there's something about collective energy. If more and more people do that, it will impact and affect the whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, one of the topics that I'm starting to talk about more and more is my own spiritual development, which has been a process since I was a very small child. I just, until recently, don't really talk about it very much in out in public. But I'm an energy worker. I'm a Reiki master. I do most of my work is in the energetic space. I just look to find a way to translate that into language that's easy for people to digest and not so much of the woo-woo stuff. But it lights me up
Yeah,
when people talk about vibration and energy and shifting the frequency. And if everybody has their little part to play collectively,
yeah,
we do that. And I think you
yeah.
can use this language way more than you could 10 years ago.
Yes, I
It's
agree with you.
so good to
And
see lots of people having that language.
And if this language is indeed a little bit off-putting, then I would start with just by being kind. Be
Yeah,
kind to yourself, be kind to others, and if make that a practice. So to go out in a day and no matter what you meet in traffic or where you're in a line at a counter or how long things take, just if you remember or try to practice that kindness, I think that could be an easier.
if nothing else, that would be a game
Yeah,
changer. Everybody just practiced kindness and suspended their own judgment. That would be enough to change the world, in my opinion. If that's just one thing. But that kind of
yeah.
my next question is what on a micro scale, which again, I think you've answered this as we've been chatting, but
Hmm.
what can people do with this being called the art of feeling better? I'm trying to compile a toolkit so that each of my guests can give just their piece of advice on something that's just a little thing that people can do every day just to help themselves to feel better. So other than what you've said, I mean, you've given some amazing advice already just by chatting, but is there anything in particular that, people could do each day that might help them feel a little bit better?
Well, this is different for everyone, but what works very good for me is music. So to put up some music and get get yourself to dance in the living room or wherever.
Cool.
Yeah, music is like I think an immediate thing that can impact your mood, and so that could be a thing that's almost outside of yourself, and then it's like a friend that helps you to feel a little bit differently. So music is a friend, I would say. And another thing that I had to learn, and that helps me now a lot, is to tune in, have a moment of being honest about how I'm feeling. And even if it's shitty, because the art of feeling better is to want to feel better. But if you're not feeling good, to even acknowledge that usually makes you feel better.
Yes. Yeah, it's
So
beautiful.
yeah, that, and as I mentioned earlier, escape artist, distracting myself, I would kind of not do that. But then whenever I could or did, it always feels a little bit like coming home again. You know, you're a little bit like at least you're there for yourself in that moment. And then having felt that or having acknowledged what you're where you're at, that creates some space, takes off some pressure, and you might still sink in it a little bit more. You might need something else, but if you then put on some music, I think that's an even better combination.
Oh, it's perfect. What a perfect combination. And perfectly, a perfect segue into my final question as well for you around music. Because I have put together a Spotify playlist because I thought music for me, music is medicine. My whole family, we do a lot with music.
We
And
have a lot in common, Jane.
we
Me
really
too.
do.
I'm
We
musical
have
common. Yeah.
lots in common. Yeah, a lot. I mean, music is medicine for
Yeah.
me. It's the big thing. It's just huge in our family. So, that is my medicine. So I thought, well, I'm going to put together a playlist on Spotify, and I'll ask every guest, and I've asked people on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok to throw some ideas in. So we've got a really nice playlist building now, and it's so lovely when you see it because everybody's had a part to play in that, and everybody's throwing in the song that really makes them feel good, helps to brighten their day, makes them feel better. And when I'm coaching and talking about medicine, one of the things that I always suggest is when you're feeling good, create that playlist when you're feeling good, and then you can refer back to it to sort of bring back
Yeah.
feelings rather than waiting until you are feeling in a bad place and then listening to the music that keeps you there. Get that feel good playlist. So that's what we've been doing is this feel good playlist. So I wonder if you have one favorite song that really makes you feel good that you'd like me to add to our playlist. It's hard, isn't it? One song out of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, because it is so, it changes a lot for me, and I love so many different styles. But if I would think of one that I think never fails in getting me up and moving and feeling lighter, it's I think "Lost on You" by LP.
Right,
Do
that
you
is.
know that one with the
I don't.
beat? I
I don't think
love it.
I do, but once I hear it, I might do. And I'm literally going to go on the playlist now. Lost. Let me find it.
"Lost on You" by LP.
My LP.
It's a
Right.
lovely vibe to it that just I don't know, it does something to me, and can't not sing along, and
Let's.
and it's not even that easy to sing along, so then you can laugh at yourself for how you're singing along.
Lost on You by LP is just gone
Yeah.
on the playlist.
But all right.
Soon as we get off this call, I'm gonna put my headphones in and have a little bop along and have a look. But do you know what's so nice? I've so far, and I've asked a few people, I've done a few recordings of with guests, and I have not been able to guess in a million years what I think they might come up with because music's so personal, isn't it? And I think my husband, I'm hoping that my husband, who's very private and never ever wants to come on these things, but I think he might come on and do a little guest appearance with me. And I've, given him that challenge of song, and he was the person that introduced me really to music when we were kids, when we met. And I've no idea what even he's gonna. I have no idea. You think you can judge it, don't you? But
Yeah.
who
And I
knows?
might say something else next week or the week after, but for now, I mean, this one has been around for a couple of years for me as a feel-good one that quickly comes to mind.
Wow. And it's
And
like you say, it's in this moment, isn't it? In this moment right now, this is what comes to
yeah,
mind. If I ask you again
yeah,
next week, you may be in a different space and you may find something else. But and we
yeah,
can all add more onto the playlist if something else comes to
yeah.
mind.
Okay.
The first one that went on there, I picked Jackie Wilson, Higher and Higher, because I just love that. Just feel good, feel good, old
Yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Nice.
that's perfect. That was the first one to go on. So thank you so much, Doutzen. I'm so grateful for your time. I think we've definitely got so much to explore, haven't we? And definitely, I can just resonate so much with your words and your story in a very different way because I think we've had a lot of similar experiences, which I love that because I'm finding, and you're probably the same, finding more and more people are coming across my radar, and I'm connecting with the more I free up space and I do my own shadow work and my own stuff, it's just clearing the space for the right kind of experiences and the right kind of people to bounce across my radar. And it's nice to be on this journey and finding people that I can resonate with. And it's lovely. So thank you so much for your time. I'm very, very grateful. And we will hopefully meet again very soon, and we'll see if we can get Anthony in the room. That would be a good one, wouldn't it? If we have a collective chat. So yes, I'm going to find my closing down button and I'm going to say thank you ever so much. And
Thank you.
make sure you
Thank
tune
you.
in next week as well for the Art of Feeling Better podcast. And I'll see you soon.